Hello, everybody. Nicholas Snow here with PromoHomo.TV, and I am on location at the official opening event for Palm Springs Pride Week 2022. And I am unfortunately here for an event that I wish was not happening. It is the George Zander Candlelight Vigil and March. So that's what's coming up on this episode of Hot in Palm Springs Live.
Day is coming to an end, and my eyes are drawn to southern skies. But I'll be coming home soon. Yeah, I'll be coming home soon.
If you've just tuned in during the opening, this is Nicholas Snow with PromoHomo.TV at the George Zander Candlelight Vigil and March. And what it is, it's in memory of all victims of hate crimes. We're starting out here at the Hotel Zoso in downtown Palm Springs for an official program. And then we are going to march to the site of the location where George Zander and his husband Chris Zander were in fact assaulted. So this is a somber kickoff to Palm Springs Pride Week, but this coming weekend and throughout the week, great activities. And before we continue, I want you to know how you can watch the Palm Springs Pride Parade live on PromoHomo.TV. One of the reasons Say Gay was selected as the theme of the Palm Springs Pride Parade was because of all the political assaults that are happening on our community and so many other marginalized communities. I am at the George Zander Candlelight Vigil and March, and I have just one more message for you before we begin our official program, and that is this.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Rhonda Hart, the president of Palm Springs Pride. Appreciate you all gathering with us tonight. Thanks to our lead sponsor, the group known as the Episcopalians Say Gay, which is comprised of St. Margaret, St. Paul the Desert, and St. John the Evangelist churches. We appreciate the support, returning support to help us keep this hate crime vigil going. This is November 7th, it's today, November 7th, November 1. This is the 7th year since George and Chris were attacked right here on the streets outside of the hotel and on Arenas, and ending up where we're going to lay the wreath in a few minutes. So we gather each year on November 1st to reflect and honor George's memory and recommit ourselves as individuals and as a community to remain determined to change hate and intolerance and ignorance into love and acceptance. So these are words that George lived by, and these are the words that we want to continue to honor his legacy and recognize the victims of crimes of hate, not just in Palm Springs, but across the country. And with us tonight to say a few words is Reverend Brian Johnson, the rector of St. John's, Indio. You're up.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I'm so used to saying this morning when I get up and do it. It's really become a habit. If you will, reflect for a moment on these pivotal moments in the history of our liberation that have come to mean so much to us. But some may not even have heard of them. A reminder that history can be lost in a moment, and that our history has to be taught. It was Henry Gerber's Society for Human Rights, founded in 1924, as the first LGBTQ rights organization, disbanded by authorities just 1 year later. But now, Gerber's residence is a national landmark. Remember the pink triangle used in World War II. Remember the Medicine Foundation, founded in 1950, another human rights group. There was the Stonewall riots of 1969, followed 1 year later by the Christopher Street Liberation Day Parade. The rainbow flag of Gilbert Baker was conceived a few years later in 1978. Harvey Milk, San Francisco city supervisor, murdered on the job not much longer after that. The history of AIDS and those early days of losing so many people. Don't ask, don't tell. Matthew Shepard, murdered in 1998. Gay marriage made legal by the Supreme Court in 2105. Here in Palm Springs, the brutal attack on George Zander, which led to his death 1 month later on December 10th, 2015. And now, don't say gay. Just yesterday, Russia made life for LGBTQ people even more dreadful than it was just a day before. These are but a few of the many references to LGBTQ history which stand out. But there is so much more. Remember, too, that a total of 74 nations have still criminalized homosexuality and put in place stiff penalties, including the death sentence, for those found to be practicing it. People around the world face violence and inequality, and sometimes torture and even execution because of who they love, because of how they look, because of who they are. It's no surprise, really. Through the centuries, religion has been misused to condemn homosexuality, to support prejudice, segregation, slavery, treating women as second-class citizens, and so on and so on. Today we look back and recognize these horrible errors. However, as the accusation goes, scriptures of every religion still use them against gay people in many circles. Now, on the positive side, 23 countries, mostly with developed democracies, now recognize same-sex marriage. Countless people throughout the world still fight for justice for us and for other people. People of good conscience work to assure that the power behind us is greater than the obstacles which are ahead of us. So many names that we can equate with being gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, lesbian. There's so many names that people have never known, except a few. Painted on our street corners are the colors of the rainbow flag, a symbol of liberation and freedom that we made for ourselves. No one else made that flag for us. It represents so much in our heart. It is a reminder that love always prevails over in the long run. It is a reminder that inclusivity is always better than exclusivity. Whatever name we choose to honor the divine, love, freedom, justice, equality, and equity are the themes of grace that are given to humanity to make a better world, so that things which were cast down can be raised up, and that things which grow old can be made new again. The spirit of good souls like Harvey Milk, Matthew Shepard, and George Zander live on in us. We honor all those who have lost their lives because of their beautiful sexuality. We grieve at our loss. We grieve at the loss of those who never knew them. This week we celebrate pride in being members of the LGBTQ community. And we live in hope, for it is only in hope that we can make the sacrifices of our lives a living reality for others. It is only in hope that we will not have a Supreme Court who tries to roll back our rights. It is only our hope that come the midterm elections, we won't have a bunch of people who are trying to come after us and after others who are different than them, because they simply don't understand. The spirit of good souls lives on and lives in us. We grieve at their loss. We live in hope. And we pray that God will be with us each and every day. And that this week of Gay Pride celebrations will be one of peace, of joy, of tranquility, and of remembering our history and telling it to others so that they can tell others and they can tell others, until somewhere far down the line, someone who didn't even think he would hear the news would hear it. Thank you for being here this evening, and may God bless each of you.
Thank you, Reverend Johnson. Thinking back November 1st, 2015. It was just 4 months after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of same-sex marriage. George got to experience that joy. But he and Chris were assaulted right here in our front yard, and George died on December 10. It's sad, but I've said these same words each time we've come together on this night. California is seeing an increase in crimes of hate. The most recent records that came out recently show that from 2020 to 2021, California once again recorded the highest surge in reported hate crimes since the aftermath of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. While our transgender community gains visibility, transgender women of color continue facing an epidemic of violence. Racism, sexism, transphobia, and hate crimes are issues that can no longer be addressed separately. Sadly, more than half of the incidents of crimes of hate are involved based on race, ethnicity, and national origin. The second most common incidents were based on sexual orientation. When someone commits a crime that is motivated by hate, it's not just an attack on one innocent person, and it's not a cliche. It is an attack on our entire LGBTQ communities. Words matter. Discriminatory rhetoric does matter. It does not make us stronger as a community. It divides us. And it puts the safety of all of us at risk. So before we head off to place the wreath tonight, we would have a moment of silence in George's name. In George's words, this is no time for apathy, no time for complacency. This is the time for vigorous and positive action. I know we can do it. Let's get going. So if we'll take a candle as you leave, walk out to the hotel, turn left, down to Arenas, end of Arenas to Kali and Cilia, and we will meet you at the corner of Tockwitz and Kali and Cilia in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I apologize that we lacked audio at the top of the show, but as you can see, that's been fixed. What we're doing now is we're actually going to march together to the site of the hate crime.
So after we set it up, rest. And this one is
So, John Taylor, I'm going to give you an assignment to walk and talk. So this is John Taylor with KK 1065, Palm Springs. So, John, I actually knew George Zander. Did you have the opportunity to know George?
no, I was a newbie
in town in 2015. So I did not know George, but certainly a friend of many of my friends. And it was, a huge loss to the community and to the community of, people that speak out, activists.
There are people, as you know, because you have listeners from all over the world, some in countries where they could be killed for being LGBT. In a community like this where we have a lot of privilege, we can lose sight of that fact and take things for granted. But as Ron was mentioning, the hate crimes are on the rise in California.
Well, I was looking, we have a map of all of the people that are streaming the radio station. We don't know their address, but we can see that they're IP addresses streaming the station. And I noticed that there was a big group of listeners, in spread out areas across the Bible Belt in the red states, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, and it really, like you said, it hits home that we are in a bubble here in Palm Springs, but are we really? When something as tragic as the death of George Zander can happen in this bubble, it can happen anywhere.
Right, in walking distance from where we are right now, as demonstrated by the fact that we're walking there right now.
So yeah, there really is no place that's a bubble, and we have to be visible and sometimes face the consequences for that. And I think that now there's a rainbow target on the LGBTQ plus community, and as Rhonda Hart said, especially transgender women of color as the victims of hate crimes. It's almost like tacit permission has been given by certain elements of our society, and by showing up in great numbers at the polls, hopefully we can change that, but by showing up in our daily lives like we are today, we get to shine a little light that goes around the world from Palm Springs.
Well, thank you for letting me put you on the spot for a walking and talking interview. Appreciate it.
I couldn't have done it if I was also chewing gum.
Okay, well, I'm glad you weren't. So for our viewers, we're now walking down Arenas Road, which is one of the gay districts. Well, this was actually a brand new district. It was proclaimed here, right. John.
It's the Arenas Road District.
The Arenas Road District. And this is one of the many sites of Palm Springs Pride, which takes place all over downtown.
This will be closed down for a street festival.
I just put the official Palm Springs Pride.gay address on the screen, and you can all find out all the events. And of course, for the official parade broadcast, it's located right now on the homepage of PromoHomo.TV. And there's a way for you to click through to the YouTube broadcast and use the Notify Me section. So George and Chris were out at a club or something that night, and they were walking not far from here. We're about to turn the corner in the last stretch of where it all happened.
You can see the ladders at Hunter's, one of our gay bars. The ladders are changing the Halloween decorations to Pride decorations. It's a quick change that we do every year on this street, because this is going to be a street closed off for a street festival with dancing, and I think a fair amount of drinking will happen too.
Isn't the official K-Gay branded street festival or something like that?
We're going to have a K-Gay DJ stand. So there will be a DJ providing music for the whole street, and that's what we sponsor.
Well, fantastic. And I'm a proud media partner with KK 1065 Palm Springs. Around the world, you can ask your smart speaker to play it. So we're turning the corner. So you can imagine being out at a club, you're done for the evening, you're walking casually down the street like the gentleman in front of us, and we know what happened. So this is the walk that they were taking. And as soon as we go around the corner at that next light, is the spot where they were attacked. And if you're wondering, well, what's the relevance of doing a broadcast like this? Why is it interesting? Well, you're experiencing the walk that two people were innocently taking in about the same time frame that they were probably walking.
Yeah, it's not a remote area.
No,
This is not, like a dark alley. This is a very well-traveled thoroughfare, basically any night of the week.
and somebody knew this is where the march ended. Because there's my car right there.
Ah,
That's what you call planning. Of course, you live practically at that corner we just passed too. Not to give out your address or anything.
thanks. You never know. Yeah, living in the neighborhood makes it easy to safely navigate the occasional cocktail and not have to operate a vehicle. That's a good
Exactly.
Yes. Beauty of Palm Springs.
Of course, for me, being 21 years sober helps me operate a
that helps
vehicle
you
as
too,
well.
Come on down, you guys.
So we're just waiting for some other people to show up. We have some official programming that I think is going to happen at any minute. Oh, they're about to sing.
What's it doing over there? So how are you? Benny. What's your name? Kate. Kate. Hi, I'm Ray James. I should have. I'm sorry with that. Indicated. Yeah.
Falling down on the job, David. Stop.
I'm getting to the age I don't remember. Oh, I've never.
So, Mitch,
Yes,
you're the head of volunteers.
I am.
Oh.
Palm Springs Pride. There we go. Overcome.
We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. The whole wide world round, the whole wide world round, the whole wide world round someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved the wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
Later. The song that you began with, "We Shall Overcome," it really struck me how when I was very small in grade school, we sang those protest songs. We saw that. We learned those songs. I don't know if kids get that these days. And then I was reflecting back on Ron was saying 2015. That seems like it was light years ago at least. But what a good time it was when George died, because it's sure been a shit show since. And he, every day, I shouldn't say every day, I often long to hear his words. I long to be able to call him, to talk, to have dinner together, and to meet among other friends, and talk about all of this happened. He left a void that will never be replaced. He was a very special person. He was devoted to Chris. He was devoted to many people. Many people were very devoted to him as well, and his presence is definitely missed. And for what is now 7 years later, 6 years in a row, I'd like to thank everybody that came out to remember George in this very special way.
So now we invite everybody to please place your candles, and then we'll enjoy another moment of silence. Careful for the cactus. I think George would get a kick out of the fact that John F. Kennedy has an eternal flame in Arlington, and every year George gets an eternal flame that lasts for a week or so during Pride Week. I think he would take great pride and be very happy knowing that the community comes together and in his memory, but also for a very important occasion to continue to raise awareness on crimes of hate in general. So thank you all for joining with us this evening. During the week and the weekend, if you come across and you bring another candle, we invite you to do that so we can keep the lights going through Sunday at 7 p.m. So thank you all.